So because of that, I slightly struggled with Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you day 21 of my Vlogmas 2023 series, and this is another collab video. I'm pleased to announce that I am collabing with Emily from emilynmax, who I'll have linked down below, for a video about our seasonal palettes. As you know, I live in down under Australia, so we are in summer while Emily lives over in Canada and they are currently experiencing winter. So we thought it would be fun for us to do seasonal palettes, me focusing on Australia and Emily obviously focusing on winter. I am not good at seasonal palettes. Where I live, we are either cold or we are hot, and either way, I wear whatever I want and don't really focus on seasonal. The only way I kind of focus on seasonal is when I do specifically more Christmas style looks or themed looks for specific, I guess, holidays or events, rather than seasons that have to do with the weather. So because of that, I slightly struggled while picking out my seasonal palettes, but I have 5 palettes here today that I think do represent summer within my collection, and I thought it might be worth talking about them. So I'm just going to jump in from what I consider is probably the least summery type palette right up to what I think is the most. I'm just going to roll over here slightly to give myself some more space for all these activities, and we're going to jump into the first palette. So first up, I have this BH Cosmetics 80s Remix Dance palette. The reason I decided that this fit within the theme of summer is because of these bright blues, yellows, and oranges, and also these pinks. It's a really bright, intense palette, and I think that Australia during the summer, it's got this bright light. So everything is kind of hot, especially if you live where I live. The weather's hot. Everything has got this like glared brightness to it, and I just thought that this fit within the theme. Also, bathers and pool noodles and pool blow up floaties are always such bright colors. This just hits the nail on the head. So that's my first palette. And also this yellow, oh, poppin'. That is exactly what the light outside looks like. The next palette I have is the BH Cosmetics New Mood palette. I think the packaging itself has that kind of summer flair to it. And when we open it up, it's got those kind of warmy browns, the bright greens, the yellow, the orange. It really just has that pop of color while still being kind of earthy, but just bright and fun and living in the moment. So that's why I decided that this palette fit within the theme. I also adore these like greeny shades. And if I was going to be going to a summer party, a summer foray, this would be the type of palette I would be using. I'm noticing so far I'm definitely going more towards those bright saturated colors, less so than the pastels or the soft bright colors. I imagine the soft bright colors fit more within the spring theme, but color itself is definitely a spring summer feel more so than the deep dark tones of autumn and winter. So the next palette I have here is the Beauty Bay Bright Mattes palette. This is the first palette. This is what this one looks like. And I'll be honest, this shadow is called Hello Sunshine. This shadow is called Heat Wave. This one is called Capra Dima. what else? This one's called Pacific Dreams, Coconut Crush. The names themselves made me think summer, summer, summer. So when you're living free in a heat wave and hello sunshine. So this is my next summer palette. The next one here on the list might have been a little bit of a cheat. This is an Essence palette and it is the Summer Days and Nights eyeshadow palette. So the fact that it has summer in the title made me think that this is more of a summer palette. This is what this one looks like. And I noticed if this is meant to be summer, this has got a lot more of those like warm beach sand kind of shades, plus the pops of blue that I think are meant to represent like the ocean. If I go back and compare them to the other palettes I have, this one is obviously not really in the same atmosphere. This is a bit too bright with that real pop of color, but I think that still fits. But I have noticed that this one here, the New Moods palette, let me open it up. This one here has those warm, beachy sand colors up the top, as well as those blues down the bottom, plus a little bit of a pop of color. So if this is meant to be what summer represents, I definitely think that this palette is getting there. I'd like to hear what you think. Do you think that this palette is a perfect representation of summer, considering that it's in the title? And last but not least, we have another Essence palette. And honestly, would you be disappointed if I didn't include this palette? Because this palette to me is summer. And not just summer, but summer in Australia. So this palette is the Essence G'day Sydney palette. This picture itself just feels like a warm summer night. When you open it up, it's got those beachy tones, the sand tones, those nice cool water tones, a beautiful green, and this like warm beach sand, wet beach sand type metallic color. I adore this palette and definitely think it represents Australia well. Like it says in the title though, it says G'day Sydney, and I think it is a bit more of that coastal palette. I would love to see, I know that this range has a few different palettes in it. I've got the Hello New York palette as well, which I would probably say is a lot more of a winter palette. But there's a few different palettes in this. I would love to see a company do just Australia, like just Australian cities or famous locations. So like G'day Sydney, Hello Perth, It's Hot Alice Springs, like something like that, and have this same type of theme. I also don't love the fact, I'm just going to say, I think that this was a opportunity missed, that none of these shades have names. I would have loved to have seen these shades have some names. I think they could have really had a good time with that. But this is definitely the palette I would say most represents summer in Australia within my collection. So those are the 5 palettes in my collection that I would say are seasonal and fit within the theme of summer. Like I said, I really did struggle with picking out these palettes, as I am not very good at seeing how palettes fit seasons and just tend to like slap on my eyeballs whatever I'm feeling like wearing. I do know that Emily is a little bit more of a seasonal panner, tends to focus on certain products within certain seasons. So I'm really excited to see what she brings to the table in relation to winter palettes. So make sure you jump on and check her out. If you would like to see more on any of these specific palettes, please let me know down in the comments, or if you have any of these palettes and what your thoughts on their seasonality is. But that is all I have for you today. So this was my seasonal palette collab with Emily from emilynmax. I'm Verity, wishing you a happy holiday season. And now to the outro.